materials.
Well, you can go there and talk for a moment.
Man, I'm way lower than you.
Hello, everyone. We're sorry we're late. We do not like the new Facebook interactive screens. I'm too old for this.
We're too old to learn new technology.
So, we're wondering if people are coming on. A couple of Catherine's joined. That's good. We'll give a few people to settle in.
And I will get some materials.
Lori's going to get some materials. We have to switch rooms. Yeah, this goes along the lines of, can you teach an old dog new tricks? And the answer is maybe. So what we were going to do today is talk a little bit about what's going on today and how to help a lot of families in their homes. We typically talk about in-home and in the community, and now we're not talking about in the community. Stay home, stay apart. And there are a lot of professionals out there who are trying to figure out how to help families. There are a lot of families trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. So we have some material that Lori's brought along to try to talk about things we could do at home. The key is to not give up on functional in the home. Still trying to figure out what's functional, what's useful. And the reason you want to look for those things is those are the most powerfully reinforcing. Every time you have to think of something, oh, it's 10 o'clock, we need a PECS lesson. You're going to do something weird. What you would rather figure out is, what are we doing at 10 o'clock? Oh, well, he wants to watch TV. Great. Then make an activity around the TV that he wants to watch at 10 o'clock. So there are a lot of resources that we want you to be aware of. For example...
Can you lower the camera a little? We just posted this book on our PECS USA website. It's pecsusa.com. This is a free downloadable book that Andy and I wrote several years ago, and it's called Autism 24/7. And it's geared towards families dealing with autism 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And it's available on our PECS USA website. There's you can download it chapter by chapter. It's out of print, so if you actually go try to find the copy online, that might be more of a challenge than getting the book online. So we have lots of visitors from lots of different places around the world and nearby. So we want to say hi. We can't quite say hi to everybody, so please don't think we're rude. Lori continues to work on social skills for me, so haven't mastered all of the sets, but she always has more for me. So, you want to talk a little bit about some of the cool materials you made up?
Well, one of the issues that I'm hearing about in the last 2 weeks, here in the United States, schools have been closed for at least 2 weeks, some of them longer, and some schools have announced they won't reopen until the fall. And I know when I was in a classroom near our home in the United States, 2 days before that school closed down, and the teachers knew only a day in advance that schools were going to close down, and they were struggling to get materials together to send home. Since then, we've heard from teachers who say, I'm not allowed to leave my house. I can't go to these people's house. And I'm hearing from parents, well, we don't have any materials to make PECS books, or we don't have materials to make pictures. So we have a lot of free materials on our website, but they require a printer. And what I'm also hearing is I don't have a laminator at home, and I certainly don't have any Velcro at home. And my favorite Velcro supplier here in the United States has shut down. They're not even shipping equipment. So I created for you today my low-tech way of making PECS books or PECS communication systems. I use a lot of sticky notes where I just draw a picture, stick it to a piece of paper, and kids can exchange it that way.
Whoa.
The other strategy I have is I've just taped paper clips to the back and kids can, I can't do this in mirror mode, exchange that way. And before lamination was affordable, my other strategy for making pictures was packaging tape. So I would print out a picture on a post-it note and just wrap it with packaging tape that makes it mostly waterproof, tear-proof. So I think there's a lot of ways we can adapt for making materials for PEC's use in particular, when the items didn't get shared between school and home when everything shut down suddenly.
Right. So we always are surprised when people kind of get stuck in materials that they're used to. The pictures have to be 1 inch squares or 2.5 centimeter squares. It has to be laminated. It has to have a square corner, and none of these things are true. We've been in places where they don't have Velcro, they don't have laminators, and yet they're able to create materials. We know we like people be able to access to a printer, but I remember years ago when we first started working in Lima, Peru, there was a little boy who liked Coca-Cola, and it was still in a glass
Bottle?
bottle, and we didn't know any pictures of that. And the teacher went home, came back, and there was a image about this big, a perfectly drawn image of a Coke bottle.
And I'm sure everybody can draw better than I can.
Well,
So
I can't.
That's
but
my attempt at earbuds. But what we wanted to talk to you about is having at home families capitalize on activities that are already in place. So everybody has breakfast. You all have playtime. You might have outdoor playtime or when you're allowed outside. And we're not asking parents to create a school in their house. We're asking them to capitalize on the activities that are already in place so that
I say it even more strongly.
do not create a
make
school.
your little classroom in your home. Home is home.
So in the PECS training manual, there's a chapter on teaching communication across the day. And on March 23rd, I did post on this user support a link to all of the handouts that are in here. But that chapter talks about looking at your activities across the day in your household. I have getting out of bed time. I have breakfast time. I have cleanup time. I have getting dressed time, television time, play time, lesson time, all those activities that you already have in place. And what we're going to talk to you about doing in these handouts is creating opportunities for the children to participate in those routines so that they become very familiar, and then eventually sabotaging those routines so that the kids need to problem solve.
So let me just emphasize this. One of the things that we want families to consider doing is creating routines. I don't mean getting rigid and having a ritual so every single moment of the day is set. But if you want to teach your children to make pancakes, then don't make pancakes once and then make pancakes in a month from now. Plan for pancakes several times so you can see progress across the activity. If you want your children to learn to make the bed, again, it should be at relatively the same time. It should be the thing they do before they come down to breakfast. Do they need to make the bed every single day? I hope not. Not even Lori makes me make the bed every single day. I get a couple of freebies thrown in there where it's just sloppy today. It's okay. The other thing that Lori will do for me sometimes is make my side of the bed. That's okay
I make the whole
too.
bed.
Well, your side is always made. That's why I was just talking about my side.
Yes.
So there are times when you want to teach kids by setting up a routine, not a ritual, and then repeating the routine. Learning comes over time. You're not going to have that many, aha, I know how to make a bed now, boom. It's going to be, oh, I figured out this corner, oh, I figured out how to put the pillowcase on. And you need that repetition to promote learning. And then if you have a routine and it involves important materials to finish the routine,
then the student will be motivated, your child will be motivated to ask for the materials to finish the routine.
So the behavior analyst says we need this routine, and we need to be able to teach this routine, and then the speech pathologist steps in and go, oh, now that we have this routine, he needs a pillowcase to put on the pillow, then he can learn to ask for the pillowcase or listen to instructions about getting the pillowcase. More sophisticated might be the color of the pillowcase, the size of the pillowcase.
So we'd like to hear from both educators who are trying to do remote instruction and families who are receiving the remote instruction, some of the strategies that you've used that are working. Um, our grandkids are home now from school, so Raina's working full time and then getting her kids to have school full time. And I know it's really challenging for the parents who have all of their kids at home. And I know it's because a lot of these parents are also working. And the issue is, how can I find all the time in the day? So, just like we said, we're not asking you to create new lessons or create new activities. What we want you to do is capitalize on the activities that are already in place. So, and look at those activities to decide, is there an opportunity for me to create a problem in this activity so that my child has to learn how to solve the problem by communicating? Go ahead.
So again, again, if we're teaching a child to make a bed, if that child has learned the routine, he can put the cover on, put the pillowcase on, things look good. One, if the pillowcase is missing, there's an opportunity to ask for the pillowcase. It's also an opportunity to ask for help. For example, maybe what you put out is a pillowcase that is clearly too small. It is Barbie's pillowcase that's about, this big, and he's got a pillowcase that is 10 times bigger. What's he going to do? Well, that's a great help lesson. Would I do it every single time? No, because then every time he looks at a pillowcase, he's going to ask for help and not even pay attention to the pillowcase. So you create opportunities sometimes by interfering with the smooth flowing of the routine. The other way we want you to think about looking for functional routines in the house is I like to think of two different directions. One is, where are we? Which area of the house are we in? There are certain routines in the kitchen that are different than the routines in the living room. There are different routines in the bathroom. So that's one way to start breaking up things. And again, parents, or if you're trying to do remote consulting, talk to the parents about, okay, how much time does he spend in the dining room? What are the things in the dining room that he can currently use? What are the things that she likes to use? The other way to try to attack this plan, if you will, is by time of day. What are we doing at 9 o'clock? What are we doing at 9:30? Now here, what a lot of parents are experiencing is never ending weekends. Every single day now is a Saturday or a Sunday. There are no Mondays anymore because he's not going to school. So talk to the parents and find out, what were they doing on Saturday and Sunday? Are there things they can do on the other days that are like what they're doing on the weekend? So help the parents, not by giving them too broad a task. What are you going to do all day? Break it down. Focus on a single room. You might talk about the dining room all day, and that's it. Don't talk about another room. You might start off talking about, what are we doing from 9 to 10? Don't worry about 10 to 11, because you got to think about what you're doing from 9 to 10. If you give parents too much to do, my experience is they, like everybody else, will shut down and not do anything. So give them a portion that they can handle. Then you're more likely to be able to expand as you move on. Did you want to show some of the specific forms, or just going to get to it later?
Just get to it later. You were going to talk about three things.
Yeah, so many of you, I can see from many of you around the world, and again, we really appreciate joining us. But again, many of you are providing, formally it's called telehealth, remote consulting, however you want to describe it, You're not in the room with the child or the parents. So what do we do? How do we do it? One of the things that I want to remind all the professionals about is uh, what we try to teach all of our staff is there are three ways of kind of interacting with kids. Okay, and this is both at home and school and in the community. Some of the time, we are trying to teach kids. I'm trying to teach Lori to brush her teeth. I'm trying to teach her how to clean her glasses. I'm trying to teach her how to cook an omelet. So I have a very specific plan. There are very specific skills I'm trying to teach. And there are things that are important when you're teaching. I need to know a reinforcer. I need to motivate her. I need to know what's going to be helpful. But that's not the only responsibility. There are times when we need to take care of kids. Lori needs medicine, and it's 1 o'clock. It's time for a medicine. We have to figure out how to get Lori to take her medicine. There's a fire alarm, whether it's in the house or in the school, and I don't know if it's real or a drill. I need to get her out of the building, out of the house. I need to get her out of wherever it is. I'm not doing a lesson on, oh, you need to put on your coat before we go outside with the fire alarm going off. No, you get her outside. That's taken care of. And the third thing that we have to consider that's important to think about is entertainment. This is true for all kids. Sometimes we take kids to, well, not just kids. If Lori takes me to the ballet, it is not because she's expecting me to learn how to dance. There will be no lessons after I go to the ballet, and I'm certainly not going to demonstrate any of the moves. I am going there to be entertained. It is fun. And in the mode we're in right now, we're in crisis mode, folks. Parents are in crisis mode. You're going to have to shift from the balance of teaching, taking care of, entertaining, to increasing that portion of just entertaining. I would suggest you're going to need to do more of that online. Do some dancing yourself. Do some silly things. Try to get the kid to be simply entertained. Maybe mom can step out of the room and close her eyes for 35 seconds while you're doing it. That's just fine. Now, some of you are very concerned about things like, well, we have an IEP and we still have to fulfill the IEP. Here again, I'm going to make it clear. The IEP calls for what you're going to do and assess it over an entire year's time. The IEP does not call for what you're doing at 9:05 on Thursday morning. It doesn't do that. Some of you are in difficult situations in terms of providing health care backed up by insurance. I do not pretend I know all of the rules, but I know when I go to visit my doctor because of a sports injury, I promise you, not every single moment that I'm sitting in the office talking to my doctor am I talking about how much my knee hurts. There's other stuff going on. There's building rapport, whatever you want to call it. Other things are going on. And in part, it's good medical practice because if you will, like my doctor, I'm more likely to listen to any advice he gives. So do not think you're in teaching mode every single moment. That's not going to help the kid, nor the parent, nor be more professional on your part. Questions about that, ideas, reactions. Have you been following the thread? Because I can't.
Yeah, can you go back up a little bit?
Sorry.
Right there, Mateja from Croatia said that you are sending home ideas for activities and opportunities for communication. Parents are sometimes sending back videos so that you can give them advice and more ideas. To me, that's a wonderful strategy. Kelly Lynn, I love your story about your student who drives his toy bus to school in the morning and which lets him differentiate that he's now in school, not at home, and then he drives his toy bus back home at the end of the day. And Anne has pointed out...
Just by the way, similar to that, you can have children put on a special hat or a special shirt. There could be school table, which is different than the play table. There are lots of other ways of visually signaling this is school time versus this is normal house time. That's fine.
And I know many of you are asking for videos that you can direct parents to that will um, help them understand visually what each of the phases of PECS looks like. There is a PECS global YouTube channel that has lots and lots of videos on it. Check the PECS websites for the country you're in. And I know in the US one, all the English speaking countries, there are lots of videos under this.
Home support?
Well, there's a home support tab under the helpful information tab on all of our websites where we're loading more and more videos. What I've also seen a couple of our consultants do is do quick videos with their own typically developing kids at home of this is what phase 1 might look like, this is what phase 4 might look like, and send that to parents. Obviously it's totally scripted and acted out, but I know that's been very helpful for getting people to understand what the different phases of PECS might look like.
Kathy has a comment about looking on YouTube for examples of PECS. Unfortunately, there was hard research on this. Over half of the YouTube videos about PECS are showing really bad PECS.
Not our videos.
Not our videos. I'm saying if you go to YouTube, not our YouTube channel, but I'm saying if you just look at YouTube and type in PECS, you'll get lots and lots of videos. Unfortunately, way more than half of them are showing bad practice. So try to get to the PECS related YouTube. You'll see lots of different examples there.
Yes, on the PECS Global.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from some families, if we have families who are on this discussion about how you're coping at home. Andy's been actually running some guided meditation sessions online, if any of you need that.
Tomorrow, 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock.
New York time.
New York time.
When Andy tells me to relax, it just makes me angry. But a lot of people are logging in for some of Andy's guided meditation. Kathy, you said your dog refuses to help. I understand.
Yeah, because dogs are always in. They're always in the moment.
Yes, yes.
That's one of the things, again, you might want to consider whether you do formal or informal when you talk to the family and log on to the family with the family. Talk to the parents, maybe a little bit more than usual. Try to find some ways of trying to do anything that is relaxing, calming, soothing. And again, this is not just good talk. There is research showing if you help reduce parents' stress, you will get better compliance with everything else you suggest after that. So it's not the other way around. It's not make them comply and then they'll feel less stressed. It's actually, let's work on things that are stressing you and then you'll get better compliance.
So for example, Jen Demsky just posted that she's been talking to parents about holding back a couple of favorites. So not everything, but so that there are increased opportunities for communicating. And what I tell families is, sit down to your breakfast and serve everything like you normally do, but only put this much juice in the cup so that it's gone quickly and your child has an opportunity then to ask for more. If you're having the pancakes, that you may forget to put the syrup on the table so that there's an opportunity for your child to ask for syrup. And if you don't have a picture, use my low-tech way of creating pictures. I love my sticky notes. Draw one, stick it on the PECS book, or stick it on a piece of cardboard if you don't have a PECS book at home.
I think Carla has a comment I think everyone should remember. Look, when we're stressed, our brains are like the size of a pea. Doesn't matter how smart we started off last week. We're just not all that smart when we're stressed. So the normal routines often go out the window. So parents, they're trying to do something and it's like, sit down, you're going to color a piece of paper right now and you're really going to enjoy it. And that's what I mean by brains going out the window. When you want to start an activity, remember our phrase about reinforce it first. Find something that's motivating before you give your instruction. If the instruction leads, if you lead with your do this, you're going to get the most resistance. And again, it doesn't matter if the child's on PECs or not. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with disability. You will get more resistance when you try to be big off the bat. If you try to be cooperative, what do you want? Okay, here's what I want. Let's get you what you want. You're much more likely to get the kids to go along.
So I'm hearing some of you saying you're mailing pictures to families. That's amazing. Sally,
That's
I know
cool.
you're saying that you have parents that you've offered to send them pictures and not many people are taking you up on that. To me, that tells you you've got a stressed family at the other end of your telephone or email conversations. And several of you just in the past few minutes have mentioned families don't have laminators at home. That again is when I get out my clear tape and I make my own cover for pictures. Um, and we're not asking you to have a perfect PECS book or a perfect PECS picture during this kind of crisis.
Yep. There's a comment about having a large number of kids on phase 6, and yes, if you have kids who are commenting and their vocabulary is growing and they are not speaking, then transitioning to a device may be something that's appropriate. On the other hand, let's realize in the middle of a crisis like this, introducing a device for families may be very stressful for them. There are going to be more gaps and problems with the internet, loading software, et cetera, et cetera. So, my gut feeling is if I'm going to consider doing an SGG, I'm going to wait for this crisis to stop and then get everybody back into higher tech. The low tech stuff, I mean, the nice thing is, like, it's a picture. Make another picture. That's one of the pieces of advice for the parents. If the child loves cookies, make 10 cookie pictures because you will lose the cookie pictures even at home. They will disappear into interesting places. And like pairs of sock, only one will show up. So anticipate losing things. Make extras off the bat.
I talked to a colleague a couple of days ago who is doing online speech therapy with some of her PECS user children, and she said she has lots of materials at her house just because she's a special ed teacher, and she starts off by holding up 3 books and asking which one do you want to read. She has already sent mom pictures of the books, or mom has downloaded pictures of the book from Google, and they start off right off the bat by letting the child choose from what the teacher has in her bin at home, what it is they want to do, what toys they want to play with. She's also saying that she's getting kids to ask her to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So kids who are working on verbs, they ask her,
Yeah.
Debbie jump, Debbie sing, Debbie cry, so that they're getting some kind of interaction. Now remember, what's different about PECS than pushing a button on a device or pointing to a picture is the physical exchange. And if it's the child in a room alone, online, he might push it to you. So sometimes what you're going to be working on is receptive skills too. So don't think that everything that you're doing as you're doing remote services with your students has to be about expressive communication with PECS.
And just by the way, Kimberly, could you clarify why are your families not able to make pictures? Because to me, it's not great pictures or a couple. We'll love Carla's line. Sometimes perfect is the enemy of good. That's brilliant. What is going on that parents don't have access to paper or crayons or markers? Is it
If you let us
that level
know,
of material?
we'll try and problem solve with
Well,
you.
the whole group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you catch that?
So other questions that any of you might have, and I'm still loving to hear from you. If you'll put on the chat area strategies that you're finding that are working. If we have parents who are on right now, I'd love to hear from parents about what's working for you at home as far as interacting with your educators on who are remote.
So Kimberly, in some part, it looks like it's related to compliance and getting people to follow through. So that's where I would kind of back off and, you know, develop more rapport, figure out what they want to talk about, and then while you're on, if you're online with them, say go get a piece of paper, make a circle. Great, you're on your way. Boom. Find something that they can do right then and there. Not 10 pictures, one picture. That would be good enough. Lori drew a picture of a cookie, and I thought it was pepperoni pizza. So there could be a lot of flexibility in what goes on. But what you're trying to do, even when you're remotely consulting with somebody, is try to get them to do something while they're on with you. I think too many people are leaving everything as a homework assignment. Okay, do this, and I'll come back. No, just like in a classroom, I want to see somebody do something, make something, change something right while we're online with them.
Tiffany, you talked about uh, working at a group home residential facility and working with kids who have very limited range of preferred items other than the iPad. If they love the iPad, then I'm going to make pictures of the different apps on the iPad so that you control the iPad or somebody controls the iPad, and they have to be able to ask for which app, which video, which YouTube video, which program that they want you to open. One of the things I like about the iPad is guided access. So if you know your learner wants you to play a particular YouTube video, put a different one on and lock it in guided access so that there's motivation for them to communicate with you to get it out of guided access and load the video that they really want.
Right.
There are lots and lots of books that are animated online and that you can access on your iPad or your tablet.
Now, one of the things that I want to remind everybody about is, again, we're trying to provide examples of, consultants reading a book or reading Brown Bear, is that one, or any other book. The danger is you show the child day after day after day the same video. And what happens is the children will simply start memorizing the sequence and they're not responding to the change. So if I want to show a child a picture book and use it as a way to get commenting going or even requesting, I want to change the focus every time I go through the book. So when a consultant is trying to go through a book, what I'm hoping the parents do is the next time the parent reads the book, talk about a different part of the page, a different animal, a different feature, a different action. Again, if you become ritualistic, the kids are like, oh, there's a ritual? I got this locked down. And then they shut down. And we want the opposite. We're trying to get kids to pay more attention to what's going on around them. So use the materials, but remember to fight that ritualistic tendency.
Several of you are asking about trainings or workshops that families can attend. Check out your area's PEC's website. We have in the last 2 weeks tried to make the majority of our live workshops available online now, and we have been using the Zoom platform to run full day and 2-day workshops that are easily accessible. I know in the United States in a couple of weeks, Catherine Horton, our clinical director, is going to be doing an overview of PECs online. That's something that I think is really helpful to get parents to attend. And I keep saying, go back to our website on the helpful information tab. There are videos there. There's one set of videos that's a set of 4 modules from the Poppard program in Canada. Module 3 is one that I really like because it does show all the phases of PECs. That's something that's very helpful for parents. On our website also is a getting started with PECs, and that's a nice demonstration of here's the pictures, here's what you do in phase 1 to get started using PECs. And we look forward to people in this group continuing to post more ideas, post more pictures, post more videos.
Alexandra, you were talking about a family getting stuck because the family doesn't seem to be going through it. And again, it sounds like what the family is doing, which is understandable, is doing things that I would call taking care of the child. When I take care of somebody, they don't learn to request, because if they just sit there a little longer, I'll give them everything they want. So the issue is, how do I get from somebody who doesn't do anything to somebody doing it all day long? And you have to break it down. Can you get the parent while you're online with them, let's say, to do a single trial? Can you get the parent to say, when you change activities and you start a new activity with something that the child likes, could you have one request, then go take care of them? Maybe after a week, let's try to do 2 requests in that activity, and then you go back into your normal mode. If you try to expect too much of the parents, it'll be difficult. But try to get them to do something while you're watching, while you have an opportunity to reinforce them for trying. Trying to read other things.
Charlotte, the videos aren't going.
It may not be organized phase by
They
phase.
might. They're not organized phase by phase, but if you do look at that on the U.S. website, which is pexusa.com, on the far right there's a tab called Helpful Information, and under that is a Support at Home tab and a Videos tab. And the videos that I talked about from Popard, which is a program in Canada, there's 4 modules listed side by side. It's module 3 that I thought had nice examples of each of the phases of PECS, and maybe you can help out with where those are.
If your search continues to be a problem, either contact us through the Facebook Messenger service or email us, and we'll try to help a little bit more.
Yeah. Jillian said you talked to family through phase 3 on the phone, emailed them new symbols, sent handouts from the appendix. Yes, it's easier when you can visit in person and demonstrate.
That's brilliant.
I'm also finding that there are a lot of materials flooding the internet right now that it's Autism Awareness Month. So I wanted to share one of our apps with you. This is our What Do You Hear app, or an I Hear app. This is something that's been out there for a long time, but it's half price this month. What it does is allow you to play a sound. Hold on. I don't need any help, Siri. Play a sound, and then the student, just like a PECS book, lets you know, oops, I hear rooster. So these kinds of materials are easy to create on your own too. I just forgot what I was going to say, so go ahead.
I was just trying to read comments at the same time.
Okay.
Yep.
Jesse has a great idea too. Some of our consultants have been teaching workshops online now, and normally when we're face to face with delegates and participants, we can get people to demonstrate the phases of PECS with each other. And when our consultants are now home alone trying to demonstrate PECS, Jessie suggests she demonstrates to some of her audiences with a stuffed animal what a different phase of PECS might be.
Yep.
And as I said too, a lot of our consultants are filming videos of their own children portraying the different phases of PECS, and I will see if we can start getting some of those a little bit more available to everybody too. And I'd love it if you all can submit any kind of videos that you're willing to share of you demonstrating some of the phases of PECS. Keep in mind, when you share a video, the videos, we're assuming you have permission to show the video of any, you have permission from any of the caretakers or guardians or people in your videos.
What was the name of the app again?
I hear PECS.
In your sleep.
I do. I dream in PowerPoint.
Middle of the night, she's giving me a picture. Stop snoring. It's very interesting how we communicate here.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Normally we live stream every quarter. We're looking at doing it a little bit more frequently
Yeah, I think we'll be on in 2 weeks.
We're going to be
We'll
on
do
again
that.
in 2 weeks, so keep
We'll do
checking
that.
back in this PEX user support Facebook page.
If there are specific topics you want us to address or other resources, please note that. That'd be great.
Katie, you asked about kids who aren't yet doing commenting. Can they use this app? There is an I want. They can ask for you to play a different sound.
Mhm.
So there is an I want sentence starter on there. There's the third module posted from the Poppard series that I think has short video portrayals of the different phases.
I think so.
They're not complete videos of kids mastering step by step each of the phases within
Right.
PECS, but it's nice demonstrations of what phase 1 might look like with 2 trainers, what phase 3 might look like with discrimination, what phase 4 looks like when you're putting sentences together, pictures together to build a sentence.
Right. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Right. You've
We've
all
really
been amazing. One of the things I have to admit, I've been really pleasantly surprised at the number of people joining the user group. It's been steady for the last month, so obviously people are still trying to figure out how to help and get online and help each other. And that's the only way we're going to get through this around the world, folks, is working with each other and helping each other. So if there are other ways we can do that, please let us know. And I love watching everybody seeking out ways of helping each other, helping the families right now. A lot of you are families trying to help other people, trying to help professionals and other families. But again, we know this is crisis time, and we know we will get through this all together.
Question about phase 4 child who likes to play with the PECS pictures by lining them up. And you said you do give her different pictures in speech therapy to line up, but the parents are a little challenged because they can't be there 24/7. I understand, and I think as Andy was saying earlier, a lot of parents are just trying to get by right now with all their kids home, still trying to work from home. And as Andy said, some of the times we're just going to be entertaining the kids.
And give the parents permission. Don't pretend to the parents that they should be teaching all the time. Give them permission. It's really okay for to take care of them and get them dressed some of the time and cook them something and entertain and be silly. That's fine. You guys are great. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, sweetheart.
See you in 2 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.